It's the Dead Panda podcast, and we talk about stuff such as stand-up comedy, improv comedy, and we ask people to share the feelings.
I actually am using a different program to record it, so I put my own camera in later. Luke is just an a-hole.
Yeah, you'll be able to see him later.
All right. After you get hair and makeup done, then you'll spice it up and come on.
No, I promise
Okay.
I'm doing it live, just like you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I have already been recording, so welcome to the Dead
Oh,
Panda podcast.
There you go. Great. Good to know. Good thing I got dressed before the intro.
I'm Michael. My co-host is Luke, and we have a very special guest today. This is the second female comic we've had, so we're finally diversifying.
Yay.
It's our good friend Jacqui Pirl.
Hi guys. Good to see you.
Hello. How
One
are
of
you
you.
doing?
I'm okay. Yeah. Hanging in there.
Good.
Heck yeah.
What have you been up to in the nice self-isolation times?
Oh. Let's see. I have a cat, which is brand new. Never had a cat before in my life. That's very interesting. My daughter rescued it from a kill shelter, and she didn't want it, and asked me if I'd watch it for a couple weeks, and then I fell in love with it. So that was a problem. Now I want it back. So been doing that. Been trying to get out in nature a lot. That's been nice. You know, we have a lot of rivers around here in Sacramento and lakes, and so I've been getting on the lakes and rivers and doing some swimming. Doing a lot of cooking, eating a lot, getting a big belly. I like to cook, so I've been doing a lot of that. But after raising 3 kids and all the dozen friends and children's friends that come with that, I don't know how to cook for one. So, eating a lot.
Your friend or your kids, they aren't at home anymore?
No, my kids are 21, 24, and 25.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And I raised them for export. They're all gone. Their own cell phone, their own rent. It's an awesome thing. You ought to try it. 2 of them live in Hawaii still, and one of them is just a couple hours north of here.
Oh, wow. So did you grow up in Hawaii, or what were you doing there?
I was born in Minnesota. Don't you know?
I did know that. I remembered that.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah. Yeah. But when I was 18, I went to the University of Minnesota, and I found out that I could do a national exchange program to the University of Hawaii for a semester.
Oh, hell yeah.
I don't know who the idiot who wanted to go from Hawaii to Minnesota on the exchange was.
They've never seen snow before.
Right. They probably loved it. They're probably still.
Yeah.
Yes, I was 18 and I got there, and I was there for about 2 weeks, and I called my dad and I was just like, all right, sell my parka, sell my skis, sell my car, sell my motorcycle. I am never coming home again. If you want to see me, I'll be here. And then I lived in Hawaii for 33 years.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
What made you come back to the mainland?
Tragically, that would be a horrible divorce after being married for 20 years. My son was going to UCLA, and we were paying out-of-state tuition. And I don't know if you know anything about that, but it's like
expensive. Yeah.
Expensive. And I knew that the only way he could get in-state was if I moved to Hawaii, and I knew I was going to have to help him with it. So I moved from Hawaii to California, and 6 months later, his tuition went from $52,000 a year to $12,000 a year. So
worth it.
Yeah, that and my dad and mom are getting older, and they're still in Minnesota, and so it's easier to get there from here than it was from there. But I get back to Hawaii. Well, not this year, but most years I get back there, a few times a year.
Nice.
Well, so then, did you always do stand-up while you were raising your kids, or is this something that you decided like now is the time, kind of?
No, I've never done stand-up before in my life. I've always written. I'm a writer. I majored in journalism, but I always wrote, I wrote a lot of articles, and I've written corporate speeches. So I would write like humorous speeches for somebody else to give, and then see them doing it and just go, oh God, no, that's completely wrong.
They're
Oh,
butchering the delivery.
right? And when I moved to California, I literally knew very few people. Like, I've never lived in California before in my life, but I refused to go any farther from the ocean than this after living literally 2 blocks from the ocean most of my life. So I really didn't, I was lost. I was, like most people who get into comedy, it was a real big sob story. I was, newly divorced. I had a 16-year-old kid with me. My youngest moved with me, and she wanted to move, but she was going off the rails. She's never lived on the mainland before. She was completely freaked out, big school. And I knew no one. And so I decided I had to do something. So I was looking for something to do. And I would, I went up on these like meetup groups where I'd go with like these ladies who lived in Rockland, California, and go hiking. And because I look like I drink white wine and do yoga and vote for Trump, they thought I was, oh, perfect. You'll get along really well with us. And then I open my mouth and go, yeah, this isn't going to work. So I had like no friends. My mom said, you need to watch this show. And I said, what show is that? And she said, it's called Frankie and Grace. Have you guys ever heard of it?
Yeah, I see it recommended to me all the time on Netflix because but I'm gonna be honest, Frankie and Grace,
Yeah.
they ain't the Golden Girls. They need to step off, be Arthur's
Yeah,
dick.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I thought, but I was bored. I had nothing to do. I literally, like, my best friend lives in Rockland. My best friend from Hawaii. Her and her husband moved here maybe 11, 12 years ago. And so I knew her, but there's only so many evenings you can go to your friend's family's house and sit in the living room couch and cry about how like your life sucks. So I started watching it, and the first scene is these 2 married couples. They've been married for 40 years. The men are attorneys and the wives hate each other. Like Jane Fonda is this, like Grace Kelly type person. And Lily Tomlin is this like stoner hippie kind of Cheech and Chong person, and they hate each other. But they're sitting at a table in a restaurant because the men had invited them there because they wanted to talk to them both at the same time. And they thought they were there because they were going to increase their law business or something. So they've been forced to interact for 40 years. The 2 men sit down and they tell both of their wives that they're divorcing them because they're gay and they want to get married now that it's legal. And I just went, wow, my life does not suck that much. That's hilarious. I thought what I need to do is go watch comedy, live comedy, because I've always loved comedy. So I started going to the Punchline and Laughs and Tommy T's and just going out and watching it. And then I started going to a couple open mics that I heard about, not with any intention of performing, just to watch. And I kind of thought, it's very different going to an open mic in a smoky bar than it is going to the Punchline.
Yeah.
Very different quality of and I was like, I think I could do this. I really could do this. So I took a class because I knew I would never, and I know a lot of comics are like, oh, they shit on classes. But I knew I would never get on a mic because I'm actually terrified of people mostly if I didn't pay my money and sign up to be there every, I'm good at obligations, but no obligation I can say. So I signed up for a class and I did like a 3-week class, and then we had to get up and perform in front of like 150 people. And I loved it. I was terrified. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, the first time was at Blacktop.
Okay. And that was your first show in front of that many people?
That was the first time I'd ever done comedy live other than with other people in my class. Yeah.
That was sort of the same thing for me. Like I did my first time at a school talent show, like in front of all my peers. It was like about 150 to 200 people. It went pretty well. But I didn't do it for 4 years after that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just a one-off thing. I didn't think I would do it again until after I graduated college. I'm like, yeah, why don't I pick this back up again?
Why don't I do it? That's awesome. Where did you go to college?
I went to SIUE. It's Edwardsville, Illinois. That's like 30 minutes outside of St. Louis.
Okay, a little cold there too in the winter.
Yes, definitely. It's
Yeah.
better in Edwardsville. I'm from like a few hours north of there,
Okay.
Quincy, Illinois. That's
Okay.
pretty cold there.
Okay. Yeah, no, I didn't do it for like 6 months after that. I was like, well, that was really cool. I can check that off my list. Yeah, exactly. And then I went to a couple more open mics, and I would sit in the back, you know, and just watch, and nobody knew who I was. They thought I was some creeper, you know, or something. I was like a groupie or something, you know. And then I just wrote a few minutes more and got up and started doing it, and I love it. I love it.
And that's good. I'm glad you do, because like I think at our open mics we'll see some really funny women that do just sit in the back and they don't feel like maybe they're not ready yet or they're not prepared.
Yeah.
But like we are definitely. I'm trying to lead the feminist movement for comedy in Reno, but it's been tough. It's been tough, Jacqui. You've definitely helped, so I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm a huge supporter of when I see a woman in a room, especially when sitting alone, because I know how it is. You know, as an older single woman, when I did start doing it, I would hang out, and all the good stuff kind of happens off the mic outside where people are hanging around, you know, and it's usually a group of like 10, 15 dudes, you know, and you're just kind of out there and they're all doing what they do. And you're just kind of creeping in there going, what, huh? What do you do? Okay. Oh, look at that. But they're like, oh, who are you? You know, new meat. And there was a lot of stuff that happened in the beginning that I think if I weren't, you know, if I were 25, I might not have come back again. And so when I see women in the room that want to try it, or when somebody reaches out to me, I will take them to a mic. You know, I'll be there with them. So yeah.
So what would have been off-putting to you about just kind of the guys club?
The dicks,
comedy?
yeah, it would have been all the dicks, like.
A lot of dick jokes, a lot of misogyny. I was hit on an awful lot, which is fine. I get that. Hey, you want to, you know, do whatever. I can handle that. But I think if I were 25 or, you know, 23 and trying to actually get up there and do that, and all this was really about, and it's usually the younger dudes that are doing that, you know, it's usually the idiots out there that they fall off the radar in 3 months anyway. They're out at the bar trying something new, being cool. It's off-putting. I mean, I've been grabbed. There's been a lot. It's definitely still a sausage fest out there.
Would you say that it's harder to get booked being a female comic, or would you?
Double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think there is a perception that still that women aren't as funny as men, and I have a theory about that. I think in society, men are raised to like hide their insecurities with humor. Mm-hmm. That's how they do it. That's how they, you know, class clown, they're show off. They know if they make girls laugh, they'll, you know, be popular. And I think women are kind of taught to hide their humor with insecurities, oddly enough. You know, I'll laugh at you. Oh, no, I'm not funny. You know, you're the funny one kind of. I mean, that's certainly of my generation. I think it's changed a lot. But I think, so yeah, it's a double-edged sword. There's that, but then there's people who are trying to diversify their shows and realize that we've got to have some women on here. So if you're one of 8 women instead of one of 50 men, you get booked a little bit more. Mm-hmm. But I think it's harder for women when you're getting started. Sure. And if you have a show, you know, I've seen this happen all the time where you've got, 7 guys on the show and 1 female, and the female will have a decent set, and there'll be a dude who, you know, he's popular, he's making up the ranks, and he has a really crap set, and the producers will come to that guy and go, oh man, yeah, tough. It was a tough crowd. We'll have you back on. And the female, they'll just be like, yeah, okay. They'll take that for, you know what I mean? I think there's a little bit of inequality that way still. It's getting better. It's getting better.
Yeah, I like to think that. Oh, sorry, but say that again. You cut out.
I said I'm not complaining. I'm not bitching. I mean, the reality is, if you're funny, you're funny. You'll get booked in the end.
Yeah.
Keep going up and be funny.
I think it's hard to encourage young women that have only done 1 or 2 open mics. I think it's hard to keep them coming back because of shit like that. And I think that's what you were saying. And like my future sister-in-law, I would like her to be at every open mic because I think she's incredible. And,
Yeah, she's hilarious.
I just, it's really more of a hobby for her. I don't think it's like her interest for her, but I think she could really explore a cool side of herself if she would keep coming back.
And do you take her with you?
I invite her every week, like, but,
Doesn't want
what's
her hesitation?
I think she's just busy with school. She's like she's like chasing a degree and everything. It just
Sure.
just an awkward time. She just spread a little too thin.
Sure.
But with all this being said, with all this state, what Netflix documentary do you think will be remembered as the one that got America through the pandemic?
I hate to say it, but we're all going to remember Tiger King. Carol Baskin has become part of our vernacular. I just finished watching 13. Have you guys seen it?
13.
And okay, it's a documentary by a Black female woman about the prison systems and the inequalities of race. It came out in 2016. I think it was up for a couple Academy Awards, but it just came out again on Netflix. And I think that Ozark. I watched that.
Jackie, Ozark is not a documentary.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Jeffrey Epstein one yet? We just watched the first one. Is he a good guy or not? It's hard to tell. Okay.
Is he a good
No,
guy?
right, but there wasn't anything in that documentary that I hadn't actually heard. It didn't dig far enough. It felt like, here's the story and here's the documentary. It was just this. That's what I felt.
That's good to know, to get into it. All right, and then I guess that leads me into my next question. Who are some of your favorite comedians, particularly female comedians, the ones that don't fall into like specific stereotypes or get shit on?
Phyllis Diller.
Oh yeah,
she
absolutely.
Was the only woman out there doing it in, gentlemen nightclubs back in a day when you probably weren't even supposed to be out without your father or spouse. And she's amazingly gorgeous. If you've ever seen her not in her makeup, she's just a knockout. Lucille Ball, brilliant businesswoman. Just took that by the horns. Lily Tomlin, I loved her in everything. She's 83 years old. She came out as gay in 1972, which, as a female comic, being gay, I mean, that's amazing. That's groundbreaking. She's been with her partner Jane, I think, for 35 years, something like that. That's her partner in life, and also they write together. Can I tell you a story about Lily?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2019, January 19th of 2019, one of my best friends, he lives in Vegas, he's a comic. His mom and I are about the same age. I just had my 55th birthday on April Fool's Day, COVID birthday. But all she wanted to do was, Lily Tomlin was going to perform at the San Jose College. And that's all she wanted to do. So Tom drove from Vegas to pick me up. And then we drove down there, and I was with Tom Baum is his name. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but Tom Baum's mom, Tom Baum's mom, and a bunch of his aunts. And we all went to this Lily Tomlin, and it was in a theater of 4,000 people, and it was packed. And this 83-year-old woman did a hour one-woman show going through all of her characters from back in the 70s. She was walking up and down stairs. She was acting out. I mean, it was amazing. But when we first walked into the theater, there were big buckets and you could write on an index card a question if you wanted to. And at the end, she'd pull them out and do a Q&A. So I wrote about 5 of them and threw them in there. You know, everything from how do you stay in such good shape to what advice would you have to a new comic, et cetera, et cetera. And when it was over, they brought the bucket to her. She pulled one out, and the first one was mine. And it was, how do you stay in such good shape? And she proceeded to answer it. And I was just like, oh my God, that's my card. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. Okay. So we exit the theater after it was all over. And I see the theater manager there, and I walk up to him and I said, excuse me. I said, you did a great job with the show tonight. It was fabulous. I said, that first card she pulled out is mine. When we walked out, it was still laying on the stage. I said, I have a huge favor to ask of you. Would you ask her if she would sign it for me? You know, if the answer is no, I get it. And he's like, well, she's got a car waiting, you know, and I'm like, I get it. But would you just ask her? And he's like, all right, I'll ask her. And he walks down the stairs, and about, I don't know, 5 minutes later, he comes back up, no card. And I'm like, I walked over to him. I said, thank you. I appreciate you asking. You know, it was a great time. And I start to turn to exit, and he grabs my shoulder and he goes, no. Because I had told him that I was a newer comic from Sacramento, and da-da-da-da-da. And she was the reason I got started in comedy because of Frankie and Grace and all that. He grabs my shoulder and he goes, no. She wants to see you in her dressing room. I'm like, what? And then he looks, and I have this whole horde of older women with me and my friend Tom Baum. And he's like, are all these people with you? And I go, no. I just kind of push them all aside. And I go, no, just this person. This is my friend Tom. He's a comic from Las Vegas. And his mom, whose birthday it is today, who bought the tickets. And he's like, okay, the 3 of you come with. And so we went downstairs, and I got to spend about 20 minutes in her dressing room telling her how I started comedy, about watching Frankie and Grace. I was crying. She hugged me. It was just amazing. It was incredible. So yeah, Lily Tomlin, we are back to the question, is one of my influences. Right now I love Kathleen Madigan. Do you know who she is?
Oh, growing up, she was one of the first ones I remember, like growing up. Yeah, first female comics. Her and Ellen were like probably the only 2 I knew, and Lisa Lampanelli, of course.
She's a little too. She's funny and she's brilliant. I'll give her that, but her humor is not my.
Very abrasive, or
she's a little crude for me.
Okay, crude.
And I can be crude. It's just she's a little. I don't know what it is.
We've heard your fisting joke, Jacqui.
That's actually a true story. Yeah, I don't know. She scares me. Like if I were in a room with her, I always feel like she's yelling at me, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever like offended someone in the audience so bad that they had to like talk to you after the show, or?
Not, I probably have offended somebody so bad. No, they've never come up to me afterwards. My real niche are women like aged 40 to 65, that group of women, especially the older ones, who mostly spent their time probably being housewives, you know, my mother's age kind of stuff. And they didn't have much of a voice. And they're like, what? You're out here talking about that, you know? So if I offended anybody, I think most of the people I've offended were men, just because they didn't want to hear me talk. Too bad.
We don't want to hear your truth. Get out of here, get quiet.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it seems a lot of times when you perform, at least when I've seen you, you're wearing a fuzzy pink sweater. Does that give you confidence, or is it just sort of your favorite color? Or it's right friggin' there. Or
no, okay, so I think I've figured out the psychology behind it. And here it is.
Okay.
I started off in Catholic schools. I went to Catholic schools my whole life till I was in 9th grade. So I was in uniform. And finally, when I started 10th grade, I told my parents I was either dropping out or I was going to the public school. I hated Catholic schools. And they agreed to let me go. And I just went crazy with outfits. I mean, I was at the thrift store every weekend putting stuff together. I used to sew. I mean, I loved just wildly being crazy. And I've always kind of dressed like that. I've worn pink a lot. I don't know why. I can't explain it. But one of the things like with boots and fuzzy things, I think, is that when you're dressed like that, especially in comedy, you walk into the punchline on a Sunday night, they're going to remember that you were there because nobody else is dressed like you. I think it helps to have a uniform, especially if you're female. 2, if you wear wild and crazy clothes, I'm actually very much an introvert. I'm shy. Unless I know you, I can talk to you. But if I'm supposed to meet you somewhere and I walk in somewhere and I don't know anybody, I'm not going to talk to anybody. I'm going to be in the back, silent. So what it does is it creates a kind of a mask where nobody talks about you or to you. They go, oh my God, I love your boots. Oh, that's so funny. You have a great outfit. And then you have something to talk about that you don't have to be vulnerable and you don't expose anything about yourself.
Yeah, it's like an icebreaker almost. So just something interesting, and then you can progress from there, I guess. So.
Right. So I am actually very sick of wearing pink fuzzy things, but I do it for shows because that's how I'm known. A friend of mine started calling me the Blonde Flamingo because I have really long arms and kind of a beak-like nose, and I'm always wearing pink and looking fuzzy, and I often stand on one foot, like in that flamingo position, just naturally. And I have a group of women who come out to a lot of my shows and they started wearing pink, like to come see me, which is incredibly like humbling when you have like fans, and they're not trying to get in your pants, they're actually people who like your comedy. It's amazing. And so I do it a lot when I go to open mics and stuff like that, t-shirt and pair of jeans. But it's a great branding thing. And if you
absolutely
book or a brand, hang on to it.
Yeah, I mean, we do Dead Panda, and I have like 20 some Panda shirts. So
and every time I see pandas, I think of you guys. I mean, I think of you guys every time I see pandas, whether they're dead or not. I get probably times a week somebody sending me a picture of a flamingo, which is just insane. But they're like, "Oh, I thought of you," and it might be some random Facebook person that I've never talked to in real life, and I'm like, how do they even know? That's crazy. I had a girl in Australia send me she saw me on a Zoom mic and she sent me a panda like a flamingo like 3 days later, not a panda. Yeah. So it's a great branding thing.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you could set up a company like Dead Flamingo Comedy if you want.
Dead Flamingo?
Yes. Okay. Dead Blonde Flamingo.
Dead Blonde Flamingo. Yes. Yeah.
All right, so we've got to take an ad break here pretty soon. But since we don't have real sponsors, what kind of product should we make an ad for?
Oh, I will tell you.
All right.
Okay. Have you guys ever heard of PeriFit? I want them to sponsor me.
No, I haven't.
No.
Okay. A lot of people are spending a lot of time playing video games, right? During the pandemic, a lot of video games. This is the video game for females. I will show you what this looks like. This is what it looks like.
Oh my.
Oh yes.
Okay.
And
I'm interested again.
Yes, you're into. He puts his computer down. Wait a minute. Let me hear this. It's called a PeriFit, and it was developed by doctors for pelvic floor health. Okay. Older women who have incontinence. That's what the brochure says. Okay. How it works, you can get your insurance to pay for this, women. If you're over 50, you can get your insurance to pay for this. How it works is you put this little device inside you, And you see this on the bottom here? You hook it up via Bluetooth to your phone. I am not making this up, you guys, okay? You hook it up to your phone and your character is a little bird. And when you squeeze, your character goes up and eats butterflies. And you release kegels, you say tomatoes, I say tomatoes. Your character goes down and eats snails, which to me is really a gross thing, but whatever. And so yeah, I'm very competitive. I've gotten high score on this a few times during the quarantine. And while all you guys are out there playing Pokemon Go and catching your Pikachu and your Snorlaxes, us women will be out here catching our Squirtles.
I love that.
I think
Very fit.
I think it'd be fun if you could play Pokemon Go with that device.
I do too.
Catch them with your
Chasing them all over.
gotta snap them all.
You have a bunch of women running around. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I really have been thinking about writing them a letter and telling them they need to sponsor me, because I have literally gotten other comics, like 4 other female comics who have bought one because of that joke I do.
And new other males now.
Yeah, there's got to be like some kind of weight training device for men too. I think that'd be good.
Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, we actually, another comic and I have talked about inserting them off stage, obviously, and then putting screens up and playing a couple games as a show. Like, yeah. See why I didn't work out with those women doing yoga and hiking? This shit. Yeah.
All right. Well,
they got sticks up their butts. That's why. Right. And you got a device up your snack.
The Perry Fit.
And then
the Perry Fit. They're gonna rename it the Pearl Fit. Anyway, we gotta take a break.
Pearl Fit.
And it'll have a flamingo on it.
There you go.
All right, then we will be right back from this brief ad for Perry Fit for men.
Okay.
From the makers of Perry Fit, the product that all the gentlemen have been waiting for, I give you Boner Fit. Oh, yeah, put that in there. Get that inside you. And if it doesn't feel good, just use your favorite household lubricant. It'll fit right in. This ain't your mom's Perry Fit. This is Boner Fit. Oh, yeah, you like that, don't you, pig? Now, the objective of Boner Fit is to make sure that your cervical lining inside of your male urethra is strong and taut by helping your imagination come to life. Yeah, that's right, focus. And as soon as you're good enough at it, you can project images of your favorite things, the most creative things you can think of. It's unbelievable. You can make a bird. Yeah, sure. That's pretty good for a first-timer. Now, the more you get practice and focus and harness your Kegel energies, you can create the most amazing neural network and matrixy things. You can't even believe the science. Yeah, okay, just breathe it out. You'll be okay. It's we're here for you. This ain't your mom's vaginal workout. This is your dick. Made a bird again. That's wow. Okay, pretty good. All right. As soon as you get to higher degrees and higher planes of relaxation and figuring things out, the world is your oyster. In fact, you can even make your own world. It's beautiful. But that's just the beginning. When you learn to harness and focus your Kegel energies and your mental projection, when they become one, a universe is yours to create. It's beautiful. Let's check in one more time with the young one here. Okay, all right, just breathe. Oh, now he's getting it. Let's see what you can make here. Here it comes. All right. It's a bird again. Great. And with our patented design, it's so easy to come right out. Check it out. Yeah, right there. All right, your turn now, big fella. Ooh, yeah, it pinches a little. That's Boner Fit from the creators of Perry Fit. This product may cause diarrhea and cancer.
Some ideas for commercials, so you'll have to watch the video. No spoilers.
Oh, okay.
That's what we'll be
Uh,
doing tonight.
I'll send Fairy Fit the link to the video, and they can decide if they want anything to do with me or not.
But yeah, before we get started, like, do you think is there any topic that's on your mind that you would really like to talk about, or just whatever?
I don't, yeah, I've had an awful lot of time in the last 4 months to think about stuff. Haven't we all? Too much so. I don't know, the coronavirus. You really think that's a thing?
Only
I
because
think
recently,
so.
after the protests, all the spikes in cases have been noticeable, specifically here in places like where we live. So I think that
Yeah,
some states are more ahead of the curve, and I think other like even just weeks ago and going to open mics
yeah.
and just going to Rayleigh's, seeing people without masks, not worrying about social distancing as much, and like just they
Yeah.
it,
I'm gonna sit in big rooms for a while. I've done a couple of, outdoor comedy shows. I've done a couple shows in Vegas, but they really instituted the social distancing.
Hmm.
And I kind of want to sit out another week or two and see what's going to happen when all this stuff opens up.
Yeah, like I feel like cases, we should see a huge spike in like, yeah, a week
Hmm.
or two. Because like this last week, I went to a couple open mics, and it was just packed with people.
mhm.
It was.
Zero people wearing masks. Yeah, yeah. We've been having live open mics, and yeah, like the first one they did, they're like, "Oh, wear your mask," but after that, they didn't give a
Did you
fuck.
wear them?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I bring my mask
But
where, and I have, those mic covers, those mic condoms. I bring my own. I bought a case of them online, and I
yeah,
won't
they
go.
did. They did like wipe off the mic after every comedian, but that was about as far as it went.
I don't know. Yeah, it's a little. It'll be interesting to see. I think I'm going to sit out another week and see what happens.
Hmm. I mean, would you say you were worried about getting it, or?
No, I'm more worried about possibly being a carrier and not being able to go see my 80-year-old parents.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
Yeah, that's yeah. And I'm fairly healthy. But I mean, there's been people who are fairly healthy who are dying.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's people who die from the flu too. I really don't know what to think. When I look at the statistics and the numbers, I'm really shocked that the entire country, just shut down. The entire world shut down for something that really kind of has the transmission of the flu.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I'm
yeah.
definitely not.
I've been pretty confused and conflicted about the whole thing as well, because I'm like, well, yeah, if it's as bad as they say, we probably need to do this. But then I've always been against like big government, like overreaching and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
what
they
can't they
definitely
make us do? They can
that
like take away all our rights away like that. So,
whether it was intentional or not, it was a great social experiment.
Oh yeah.
mhm.
We'll do. But even during the protests, most people were wearing masks here, at least. Most people had masks on.
Yeah, I think it's more of a right wing thing to not wear masks. I mean, they're probably taking a page out from the president who refuses to wear one.
Yeah,
But,
I'm seeing a very specific
yeah, there's
demographic
there's
not wearing
certain
them.
people who hate masks vehemently. It's like,
Yeah,
this doesn't take away your freedom, it just protects you and other people. It's like a condom. You should probably wear one
you
once in a
should
while.
probably wear one. Yes, you should definitely probably wear one. You hear that,
But it's
children?
not as fun.
Well, it's more fun than not having sex. You hear me, ladies?
Mm.
Let's know that.
That's true. You can't have sex if you're dead. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I don't.
Cum can have COVID too, so
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess anything can. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. We'll find out in 20 years when they filed open all the secret
Do you
reports.
okay, so like what do you think this year is going to end like? We're about halfway through it. What do you feel like we're just everybody's like the hard parts are over now, and then every time they say that, the next thing happens. Like,
Yeah,
Let's see, either earthquakes in Yellowstone or asteroids hitting. I will tell you this, the first half of the year was kind of marked with this global shutdown and pandemic. And then lo and behold, Black History Month, I think, will last the second 6 months of the year this year. So I don't know. I would like to see some very serious striking changes. I think we're lied to by government. I think we're, I would like to see some journalism coming back. Black Zebra has been doing awesome things. Unicorn Riot there's been a lot of like citizen journalists going on the ground during all this. The media, it's really entertainment these days. A lot of it, we don't have those 60-minute type investigative journalists anymore. So I don't know. I would like to see some serious social changes, and I see that happening, but it's got to finish it. I don't know,
because I've always kind of hated like Trump's fake news rhetoric, because I've always sort of thought the news was not fake, but they're just like paying attention to these fluff pieces, or if it bleeds, it leads sort of things, rather than the important legislation that's passed without anyone knowing, or the important, like, we're fucking like bombing some country and nobody has any idea why, or we're overthrowing some duly elected president in some other country for whatever reason.
And we should be finding Carol Baskin's husband.
Exactly.
Definitely guilty.
So like the news is fake, but not for the reason Trump thinks it is. So
it's
sort of annoyed me.
Know that it's fake. It's just sensationalized. You have this really deep piece, and they'll go, "Oh, this is a cool headline. We'll just focus on that," and then you miss out on the rest of the nuances.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then well then. Shit, I don't even know where to go from that now. It's getting real for me.
Anyway, bringing it back to comedy, I remember you put on like a show with Morty Stein, Gray's the New Black. Wasn't that what it's called? Or
yes.
Okay, you're like, I don't remember.
Oh no.
I four times.
A second there.
Oh, I cut out. Okay, yeah, Gray is the New Black. What was the inspiration? Gray's the New. You cut out.
Yeah, it's a group of 5 regular comics, and we do shows out at, which has not been happening because of COVID, but a lot of, there are all these communities all over of 55 and older living communities, golf clubs, that kind of stuff. They have a budget for their own entertainment, so we bring in 5 comics over the age of 50 and do a show. And there's 5 of us, a core group, and then we every now and then add a local comic depending on where we're going. But we can't do those because these are 60, 70-year-old people. They don't be out in this in crowds right now, but we hope to start that up again. It's a niche that hasn't really been done, and there's some money there, and it's real easy. If all you got to do is get on your golf cart and drive 2 blocks and put down your 10 or 20 bucks and buy a couple of drinks in your own clubhouse and laugh for 2 hours, they love it.
Yeah.
So hopefully we will get that started again.
And,
how old do you have to be on one of those shows?
50 and older.
Damn it. I got like, oh shit. I'm just scaring myself, like 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I'm just bummed out that I'm going to be 40 this decade.
Oh, Lord. Okay. I just 30 high school class reunion.
God damn.
35th high school class reunion, you guys. So
That first 10-year one really sneaks up on you, and like I remember my classmates calling me, and they were like, "Hey, we need one more person to show up to make this official." So I drove by and waved as a intentionally not to sign the charter.
oh my God, you were exhibiting COVID like behavior before it was even a thing then.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I've,
But also, so doing a show that leads me to a pretty good question. When you're doing shows specifically for older people, that how do you reach different audiences? Like, what's the best way to know to communicate, like compared to a young crowd, to an old crowd, to what have you?
yeah, it's interesting because I used to think there was really a thing about that, and I used to kind of shy away from doing, college age, because I'm like, I'm an old woman. They're not going to have any idea what I'm talking about. But I did a few shows at Davis in the beginning, and these guys really got me. I mean, guys and gals, they really got me because they look at me and they go, "Oh my God, my mom has thoughts like that? Are you kidding me?" And I have kids their age, so I can relate to them. I don't think if you're funny, I don't think there's any audience you can't reach. I mean, the funniest person on the scene today and the most poignant, I think, is Dave Chappelle. And I think you can be 12 years old, maybe not 12, that's a little young, but 15. I think you can be 15, and I think you can be, 90 and still get what he's saying, and think he's hilarious. I think in the younger crowds, for me, what I have to do if I'm doing a joke about something that they weren't around for, I need to give a little bit of explanation. But likewise, if I'm doing a PS4 joke for a group of 60-year-olds, I'm going to explain it to them that, that's the thing your grandson's on there all the time with. Oh, okay. You have to throw little things in and be aware of your room, but you can use your same jokes, give or take.
Just approach it at a different angle. That's a really good exercise to do, because I would have crowds where it would be just like people pulled from slot machines into a casino, and I would talk about Santa Claus fucking his wife and thinking that's weird, and then they
Yeah.
would be like, go away, but it's because I didn't approach it in a way like, you BDSM is this thing that young people are into now, where we like to hurt each other while we're making love, and like that
Right.
could have punched it up so much better and made it destroy.
Yes, and you have to, I think it's all in the setups and the explanations. They need to know what you're talking about before you're doing it. Do you know Ty Rivera?
Yeah.
I haven't met Ty.
Ty is a gay comic from Las Vegas, and he's absolutely hysterical. But he loves to do like really redneck rooms. I mean, first of all, he's Mexican, and he's gay, and he's outspoken, and he is just in your face. But he says this thing where he says, when I go in, and they love him. I mean, this is total like mega hats and all that, and they adore him because he says, I have to go in and I have to educate these people before I then insult them and then make them laugh. And he does it so brilliantly. If you can find some of his stuff on YouTube.
I performed him at like Reno Tahoe Comedy, but I wouldn't say it's not like a redneck kind of crowd there. So
yeah, I mean, he goes down to Oklahoma and Missouri and Tennessee and does.
Wow, that's impressive for like a person of color who's gay to be performing in that sort of place.
Yeah, but it's all about how you set it up and relate to these people. It's yeah. So yeah, I think that's the key. You figure out what the crowd is, and sometimes you don't know till you walk in the room. If you're doing a show on a college campus, obviously, you know where you're at. If you're doing a bar show in Reno, you pretty much know where you're at to begin with. But sometimes you have no idea where you're going, and you walk in and you're like, oh, okay. And it always helps not to be the first one up, because you want to see they like it dirty here, or they don't like it when you bring up Jesus, that kind of thing. But there's ways to do that without insulting people,
Oh yeah, there's a way to do. Lots of thoughts. Like I'm thinking of past sets now where I'm like, that's where you fucked up. You dumb. And then anyway, but yeah, that's really good advice.
Relatable to them.
Yeah.
Make it relatable to them. And I think also what I've learned is that you've got to get the crowd in the first minute and a half. So you've got to figure it out. You've got to start with something that makes them either sympathize with you, empathize with you, or like you. You can't come out there at them. And once you've got them on your side, then you can kind of ease into that other stuff that you couldn't get away with up front.
Makes sense. So start out with like some self-deprecating humor, maybe, or details about yourself,
or just something about you that's humorous. Even if it's the way you look, or whatever the elephant in the room is. For me, it's I'm usually the only female on the show off a lot of time, and I start talking to women. And here's the deal, in a lot of comedy clubs, people are there as couples, right? And if you can get the women to laugh at a blonde female on stage, then the men are, I can laugh at her too. Oh, she's funny? Okay. Because they're trying to get laid, like, okay, let's ha. And you can get them behind you. But if you can get the women, for me, if I can get the women on my side, the men fall in line. If I'm doing a bar show where it's mostly dudes, I can usually get them online too, but it turns into a different kind of
act. I find that picking a mutual target for you and the audience. So I often will throw a jab at the guest, or like the comic that goes on before me, or I'll just be like, you guys remember Luke? He has dicks for fingers or something, and everybody will get on board.
Yeah, if you can find something, that they can laugh with you at. I agree. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Luke. It's always you.
It's always you.
Like I wear finger gloves. Like under here, it's just dicks. Like just tiny dicks. Yeah.
So then, okay. So let me ask you something. Would you rather have a summer job working at Joe Exotic's Tiger Farm, or would you rather be a masseuse for Jeffrey Epstein?
Are those my only two choices?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. So now I'm working for Carol Baskin. No longer. Didn't she take over his thing? I guess I'd work for Carol, because Joe Exotic is in jail. Carol took over his farm. So right. I guess Carol, and I do detective work. I pretend I was there as an undercover detective, and I try to figure out whether he killed her. But I ain't massaging Jeffrey. No. Gross. Not young enough to massage Jeffrey. I'm over.
Yeah, he's like, get your hands off of me.
Yeah.
Luke, what about you?
He didn't
Same
like
question.
my penis.
I think that Luke could probably.
I mean, I'd work for Joe Exotic, definitely.
I think Jeffrey Epstein certainly pays better, but
$200.
Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy giving massages. $200, especially like in 2001, to $200 was a good amount of money. I mean, I'd be naked, but he just can't touch me. Like, he can look, but he can't touch,
I don't think you're his type either, sweetie.
I think I would have been in 2001.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
I mean, I was young and I looked even younger, so.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. How about you? You have to answer also.
Oh, yeah, I would work for Joe Exotic, just because, like, not only would I get to feed and play with all those tigers, but maybe find a husband. I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you probably could. He'd be addicted to meth, but we'll work around that. Yeah,
Love comes in all forms, Jackie. All right, so just
true that.
Michael's definitely a Travis type.
Trap. Ooh,
rest
yeah,
in
kiss
peace.
now.
So I know you have a cat now, but I wrote this question beforehand. But if you, let's say you were flying on your way to Hawaii and your plane crashed in the middle of the ocean, but then there was this small deserted island, but then there was just this cat and this dog. Which one would you eat first to survive, or would you just starve?
I'm a pretty good fisherman.
Okay.
She
How
lived
would
in
you build
Hawaii
it? Like
for-
a pole or like a
I
spear?
I fashion a pole. I'm on a deserted island. I
You would
know
just
how
use your hair as fishing line, or
hair and coconuts. I can peel a coconut and sticks. I could whittle a sword. I could or a spear. I could make a net. I think yeah. I
Okay.
don't think either the cat or the dog. I'd probably the cat would probably bring me mouse and
Okay.
mice or birds. Birds maybe would be better. Eggs. Yeah, I don't think I could eat a cat or a dog. Sorry.
Yeah, but how long would you be there before you ended up whittling a dildo?
Oh, I'm fine without a dildo.
Okay.
We're good. I don't
You got the
think.
dog there. It's all right.
Oh God. Yeah.
No.
No. No. Am I the only survivor?
Yeah. Well, there's a few like bloated corpses that wash up on stick.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
no.
But...
That is bait, I guess, to catch fish.
Okay. All right.
Crabs. You can throw one of those on the. Yeah, I'd do all right. I would not eat a cat or a dog. I don't think I could do.
For me, it would
Okay.
depend on what kind of dog it is. Because if it's a wiener dog, I ain't touching that. Not with my mouth.
Nice.
I'm too hetero.
Okay.
You
Good
won't
to-
even eat hot dogs or cucumbers, like
I eat them.
anything
I eat them
vaguely
from the
Phallic
side. I turn them
looking, or you won't
horizontally and eat them from the middle.
Well,
eat some
being
like a
so,
hamburger.
I thought you'd say you'd eat the pussy first, but okay.
Oh, I was actually working towards that, but then Luke had
Oh.
to ask me about how I would put a dick in my mouth.
Oh God. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where we've gotten in our quarantine is there's just like, how would you do it? And it's like, yeah, and then we go into
Have you
detail.
guys written any quarantine jokes?
I wrote one about
Yeah, so
just one about being so grateful to see everybody that we should all gangbang and then like make a human centipede and that eventually the year is gonna get worse and then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a wide ranging one, but I'm trying to stay away from things like toilet paper and face masks and stuff that I think is a little
It's overdone.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't not talk about it because it's it's on everybody's mind and like we're all in it together. So I think you do have to address it, but I
Yeah.
think it's the same with any other kind of joke. If you're going to tell a topic that people talk about, you want to do it the best. So I'm not saying that I am, but I'm trying to do it my own way.
How about you, Luke?
yeah, I was trying to think of a specific one. I have several that I've just written out online. But I was thinking, well, coronavirus is God's punishment for us telling Kobe jokes.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty. I like that.
And then like one I did on stage was like, of course, I have to address the topic that is on everyone's mind, the virus. That is Kid Rock's 2001 or 2008 hit All Summer Long. And then I go up on this bit about how it's the
Nice.
worst song ever. And it rips off two other songs, and the lyrics are just so fucking lazy and it's god awful.
Very good. Yeah. Yeah. Do you tell a Kobe joke right before you do that? It's God's punishment.
No, like there are no other funny Kobe jokes. No.
Yeah, that I think would be funny if you told a really bad.
It would
Kobe-
just be ironic.
Yeah,
Okay, like that joke is the reason that
yeah,
my
exactly.
dog died of coronavirus.
I used to tell this joke. It's really bad. Blah blah blah. Then God hit us with COVID. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So, well, what about you? You got any quarantine jokes that you're working on?
I have a couple of. Yeah, I have a couple of them. One is just a really stupid one, but I like it. It's probably a dad joke in that category, but it's something about, I had my 55th birthday during lockdown, and it was just me and my cat, couldn't go anywhere, and even my favorite Tinder dude didn't send me a message, he didn't send a present, he didn't say hello on my birthday, and I was so pissed. I threw a fit, I threw a tantrum, and I dumped his ass. I ghosted him. And something about, and then I went, haha, look who's crying over spoiled MILF now.
That is definitely a dad joke.
But it has so many legs. There's so many places you could go with, MILF cartons, or, just spilled MILF, spilled MILF. I don't know.
Have you seen this MILF?
It's got so many. Yeah, so it's it's a groaner. I do a couple of other ones. One's about not being dressed. There's one about that. We just didn't get dressed for months. What else? I also figured out how we can save the post office. So the post office is going broke, and they're going to be, eliminated in a bit. But I think that if the post office would just sell acid on the back of stamps, and they could jack the prices way up, and it would come with a free postcard every stamp you got. But the caveat is that you have to lick the stamp, put it on the postcard, and wait an hour, and then write out the postcard and send it to somebody. So the whole world would be flooded with love notes. We'd be getting, and I'm a stamp collector, honest to God. But think of how many more stamp collectors we'd have, Probably wouldn't help with COVID, but there'd be all these dudes like steaming that stamp off to relick it, I don't know.
I had one that I was telling, like in 2020, I feel like terrorists have got to feel neglected. They're like, hey, remember us? We're the terrorists. We're scary too. Make things go boom. They're forgetting us, Muhammad. They said they'd never forget. Aww.
Ooh, I like that line.
That's good.
Gosh
My
darn.
daughter, she was such a funny kid, but she used to mix up words all the time. Like she would think something meant something else. And we lived in Hawaii, and she came back from Waikiki one time, and we were having people over for dinner, and we were talking, and it was like an anniversary of 9/11. And so we were talking about some of that at dinner, and she goes, oh, because she was down surfing with some friends in Waikiki. She was probably 8 or 9. And she goes, there were so many terrorists in Waikiki today. And we were like, what? She meant tourists, of course, but we explained to her terrorists and tourists. She was,
same difference.
Yeah,
yes.
Could be.
She also once said, this is just a complete aside, but my son said something like chivalry is dead, and she started laughing, and I go, Sophie, do you even know what chivalry means? And she goes, yes. And I go, what does it mean? That's a pretty big word for a 9-year-old. And she goes, well, I've seen that episode of Seinfeld. And I was like, what episode of Seinfeld? She goes, when George got in the lake and it shriveled, that's chivalry. Oh my God, girl, no.
Chivalry is dead.
Well, there's our episode title, Shrivelry is Dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Before that, I was going to go with Gotta Snatch 'Em All, but I like Shrivelry is Dead.
Oh God, yeah.
Well, Jacqui, we love having you on when you come into town for our Dead Panda stuff.
Down and see you guys. You guys have a
Yeah.
great room going. It's been
We
fun.
don't have shit going on right now, though. Both of our places are still shut down. So,
Yeah, I get it.
but you have not performed at Reno Improv, is that correct? Okay. Well, we'll have to have you on there at some point. We'll see.
Please do, please do. Yes, goal of actually my goal is my goal is to perform on stage at the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas.
Ooh.
Well, if you need some opening acts to kill the energy in the room, keep us in mind.
Michael's really good at that.
No, you guys are a lot of fun.
But also, that's just while we have you, we should wrap this up. But plug away if you've got stuff like social media, anything coming up, let us know.
I used to have a card with my I'm on Tinder, OkCupid, Venmo, and PayPal. It's Jacqui Pirl. It's spelled very different. I'm sure you'll put it in the comments, but it's Jacqui, and Pearl is spelled like girl with a P. But you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook. For now, I'm not sure I like that platform too much anymore, and also on Instagram.
All right. Well, that does it. Thank you very much for coming on. We miss you a lot.
Yeah, thanks so much. We'll see you soon. Hopefully.
Good questions.
Thank you. Stop it.
Yeah.
Pat on the back for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Michael a high five later. For
Okay.
You.
with your hand gloves on, with your finger.
High five with tongue.
Yeah, I do that where I say, I prefer hugs to handshakes, and the reason is because every hand you ever shook had a dick in it. But I'm trying to figure out how that works. I don't know if hugs are better than handshakes or anymore with this COVID. I don't know.
Probably. I think it's probably safer. Honestly.
Yeah.
Just turn your head away. Yeah.
Yeah. Just wash your hands and vote, guys.
Yeah, that's a good note to end it on. Wash your hands and vote, everybody.
Wash your hands and vote. We'll see you later.
All right.